Hey, what's up guys? It's time to begin our Season 4 discussion videos. This is where we're going to be talking about things anywhere from balancing or features that would be added to the game or just a general wish list. So joining me with this is Mir. What's going on, man?
Hey man, doing pretty good.
And I guess the first topic for today, we're going to talk about the crush counter system. Because that seems to be a really hot topic. A lot of people are complaining about the neutral in Street Fighter V. Throughout the years, we got to improve the Street Fighter V neutral. At least that's what I'm hearing on my side.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people don't like the fact that because of the priority system, a lot of crush counter normals just beat lesser strength normals like lights and mediums, and that's what a lot of footsie-based characters rely on to play neutral. So they just get beat out by crush counters all the time, and yeah, people don't like that.
Yeah, they're losing from the start. Yeah, it's like the system is working against them, so to speak. Yeah. So when we talk about neutral in Street Fighter V, we hear those two things come up a lot: the input priority system and the crush counter system. Yeah, that ought to be changed. But, we should point out first that Capcom does realize that crush counters are very strong, and they have been, nerfing them very recently, actually. Over the past year, the first thing they did is they nerfed the crush counter scaling, so they've added 10% damage reduction when you land a crush counter. And on top of this, they did another nerf where they nerfed the scaling on V-trigger activation when you combo into your V-trigger. And this is a big deal to crush counters because most of the time when you're fishing for a normal into a V-trigger, it's your crush counter button. So if you happen to land your crush counter, you're going to get double this scaling for a pretty big punishment when it comes to your damage on your combos. So they have been doing it. So I guess I would say, Mir, that we want it to be adjusted even further then. It's not good enough.
Yeah, I just don't think that, nerfing the damage is like the way of fixing the issue, just because, crush counters in neutral still exist.
Yeah.
Just less damaging, less rewarding.
Right. Like there's certain characters where like they're using their best normals also happen to be a crush counter at the same time. We got characters like Rashid, for example. His crouching heavy punch. He's gonna be using that all the time anyways. And it's like he's like this rush down character that as he pressures you, as he gets pushed out while you're blocking, he's gonna eventually throw out that crouching fierce. And if he lands it and it's a crush counter, boom, spin state, and he gets a full punch on you. He even has a standing heavy punch crush counter anyways, right? That's like the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And he gets a full dash in with the crouching heavy punch.
Right. And then it starts all over again. And he can throw these out safely because he's so far away, right? It's so good as a normal to begin with. And then we have another character like Akuma, for example, with his crouching fierce. It's an anti-air. It's +3 on block. You can just throw it out in neutral, And if you land it, it causes a crumple, right? And then,
yes.
Just so much.
Yeah, and because it's Akuma, right? Like, other characters with crumple crush counters, from far away, they might not get, the best combo, right? Because, of course, the character is, like, falling to the ground and you have to be quick. Yeah. But Akuma, since he's got back hard punch that juggles anyway, he's got basically the same reward regardless of the range at which he lands crouching hard punch.
Right.
So yeah, that's definitely
You're
a very strong
back hard
option
punch
that he has.
Yeah, exactly. So, besides all this whining and complaining, Mir, of course we're going to list some solutions. That's what we do.
Yes, and I have a pretty massive list.
Do you? Okay.
I do.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, so the first one, and this is pretty drastic, I realize, but is to remove spin state crush counters
Mir,
from the game.
Mir, calm down. Every single character in the game's got a spin state crush counter. You realize
That's
what you're
true.
saying.
I realize what I'm saying,
Okay.
and I'm going to elaborate.
Please continue.
So the way spin state crush counters work is that basically the idea is that regardless of range, you still get the same combo, or you usually get the same combo.
Okay.
So what happens is they clearly designed these to be punishes for DPs and moves like that, because they leave you standing and they give you the best possible combo, right?
Right.
Because you don't have to worry about your opponent crumpling and then getting airborne hits or whatever. So the way that works is that certain characters, since like we said before, the crush counter property is just tacked on onto their best buttons anyway. They're just gonna spam these buttons. Like, you know, you have characters like Urian with sending heavy punch.
Yeah.
You have you know, Balrog with sending heavy kick.
Yeah.
Like a lot of characters like these, they just press their button to this button to get, you know, through neutral, because they will eventually get something, because they move us a lot of range. It's a heavy normal. It's got a crush counter that's a spin state, and they can just dash in and get a combo. Right?
Sometimes it's plus on block too. So
yeah,
it's
exactly. I mean, Urian's is +5 when you charge it, so you know.
Oh, really? And then Balrog, you know, I think it's +3. Akuma's crouching fierce is +3, and they're just throwing it out constantly, you know.
Yeah, because the risk reward is just, you know, in their favor. And so a way you can fix this is, if you remove spin states, what instead you can do is that you can either turn them into crumples for characters that don't have moves that juggle like Akuma, or, you know, just make it so that they give you a knockdown, so that you still get Oki, because you can get free dash-ins, for example. So you can mount the pressure, right? And in a sense, you still won neutral, quote unquote, as you move your, you know, you move in after getting this knockdown. Or like I said, you get a crumple, and then, you know, maybe from really far away you just get, you know, a small combo, but from up close you still get your full reward, so you can use them for punishing DPs, for example. So that's a way of, you know, dealing with.
So you're saying to turn the crush counters like reuse standing heavy punch, for example, where it just knocks them back, or Guile's back heavy punch.
Yes, and like in certain cases, you could, like I said, you could have a crumple like Akuma's, but, you know, built in a way where you only get a real combo if you're very, very close.
Okay.
Right? So that, you know, from far away it's just a minimal punish.
Right.
So that, you know, you don't get destroyed by throwing out a medium and neutral, right?
Yeah, exactly. Another thing too, we were talking about before, Mir, was like adding more variety to these crush counter punishes in general, you know. I always wanted Street Fighter 5 to be a game where like it's because the V system is unique in the sense that I want it to be more variety, where I can choose to gain V gauge, or prioritize damage, or prioritize Oki, as in the knockdown. I want these choices. I don't want something where it's like you get the V gauge, you get the damage, and you get the knockdown. You know, you get all three. That's where it gets crazy. You know. So you
like a good example of a change like this could be, you know, imagine that they removed the spin crush counter from Gao's 4 hard punch, right, which is his usual go-to punish for DPs and stuff like that. Right. But instead you have your crouching fierce. Like crouching fierce pops you up, right? So what they could do is, you know, maybe you get your combo from crouching heavy punch that, for example, could lead into his air throw, and then that grants you reliable Oki, right? Because as a throw, you can only quick rise it, instead of also back rising it. So you can choose between, you know, do I crush counter with my crouching heavy punch and I get, you know, reliable Oki and a side switch, even because Gal's got 2 air throws, or do I do a counter hit combo that, you know, gives me the optimal damage? Right. So like that could be a way of, you know, adding variety to the crush counter system.
And that's just a small example. I mean, we noticed that during these patch notes, like Capcom is trying to add more V skill combos and stuff to characters, adding more ways to gain V gauge, right? Unless your character is Sagat. So it's just we're seeing the direction that they're going, you know. And I guess we should also point out, because since we're on the topic of spin state crush counters right now, that they have been nerfing some characters' spin states, in the sense that Urian needs that full charge heavy punch to land the same combos that he did before, right? Or exactly. Balrog, his heavy kick crush counter, so it's got nerfed a little where he can't get that full dash and target combo from certain ranges, right? So it's like there's still good buttons, right? Capcom's focused on the damage, like you said, Mir, and it's not just about that. The problem is that they're already normals that they're going to use anyways, and like I said, with tied with the input priority system, when they're throwing out heavy normals, it makes it really hard for a character that relies on medium, or far worse, if they're relying on light attacks in neutral. It just makes it very lopsided.
Yeah, exactly. And one good point to make about this is that, you know, still talking about risk reward, is that if you press a crush counter normal, maybe your pressure should end there instead of being, plus and able to continue the pressure, right?
You
So
still
maybe
gain
we
V
could make, yeah, exactly. So maybe you could make it so that your crush counter normal is minus on block or even punishable, so that you cannot just randomly throw it and it's plus anyway, so
Right.
that you can just do whatever.
Right.
So that could be another way of fixing certain spin state crush counters if you don't want to remove them like altogether, right?
Right. Right.
Just add more, more thought to the decision of, do I want to press a crush counter here, or maybe do I just want to, press another normal that's not as risky, or maybe even a plus a
Right.
block.
We want to add more. Like, people are always like, I want to basically, I don't want these two players to play this character the same. We want to add more personality to all these characters, and one of those things is adding variety on how people want to play the game, how they want to just focus on damage or focus on Oki, so people can express themselves and stuff. And that's one way to do it, and making crush counters less powerful overall. I guess I should point out too, Mir, that since even if this comes true and spin state crush counters are just off the map, there are still very powerful knockdown crush counters in the game in general.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Great example is Minot. Okay, her standing heavy punch is insane, even though the crush counter just knocks you back. I mean, it's a big deal. First off, she throws that normal out like crazy. It's got a detached hurt box, so you can't even whiff punish it. It knocks you almost full screen. It gains her V gauge for one of the most powerful V triggers in the game. That's only 2 bar. I mean, it's perfect for her. She doesn't even care if she doesn't get a combo off of it, right?
No, exactly. Like that's the way it should be. I mean, with the correct amount of tuning, but
yeah.
Minot standing heavy punch in a vacuum is like a pretty well designed crush counter, if you ask me. It's just that, of course, on top of a zoning character that's got detached hitboxes and whatnot, that is just very annoying to deal with.
Right.
But another good example is Guile's back hard punch, right? When you get a crush counter, it pops you up, and normally you don't get any combo unless you have a super, and then you can combo into your super, or you V trigger cancel, and then you have to deal with all the scaling.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting way of designing a crush counter. Of course, in Guile's case, he also has access to other buttons that are also crush counters. But in case it was the only one that remained, it still would be a good button.
Then we have like Akuma standing hard punch, and then you can confirm it, go into the second hard punch, and then activate V trigger, and then go into a hard knockdown. There's another example. I mean, what do you think about Ibuki? Like, her forward heavy kick, she can go right into Raida after that. And these are knockdown crush counters.
Yeah, and that's their way around neutral in a sense, because it moves her forward and dodges lows.
High profile, so goes through fireballs.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's a very strong tool, but like in case you remove spin state crush counters, then that move would become the new punish for DPs or parries, whatever. It's counter hittable on recovery, and then like the overall damage would just go down a little bit. We just want these crush counters to be a little bit more how can I say, like you should put a little bit more thought into using them, right? So you cannot just throw them around randomly. So in case of Ibugis, maybe you should make it a little bit more punishable, right? But since it's your new crush counter, then like change the reward. It's just that certain crush counters are good on certain characters because of the characters themselves. Like the move, if you look at the move in a vacuum, like I said before with Minot's, right, it might be fine, but then you tack it on a character that's got so many tools to deal with you from far away, right? And then it becomes crazy. And that's the same for Akuma, right? Like it's a crumple crush counter, but then again, just dash in and do back hard punch, and it doesn't matter anymore.
Like all of our examples are top tier characters too.
Yes. For a reason.
Any more solutions? What about adding more scaling, Mir?
I mean, it's definitely possible. It's just that it feels very lazy, right? Because it's just, it doesn't fix the problem. It just makes it less annoying, I guess, or not less annoying, but more like
it's not gonna stop them from playing differently. They're still gonna be
No,
using
yeah,
those
exactly.
arms.
Like the neutral's still gonna have issues. It's
Right.
just that when you get hit in neutral, it's just not as damaging. Yeah, so you can make another mistake, I guess, instead of just dying to combos.
I know someone's gonna point out to get rid of the input priority system altogether, but it's just something that we realistically cannot expect them to do in Street Fighter V because the entire game is built around it. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that there's so many ways to approach this problem because it's not a systematic problem. You know, it's not a universal mechanic that destroys the game, if you will, but it's just that, you know, on a character by character basis, some of these crush counters are just too strong.
Right.
Like, you know, you look at a character like Ryu, and even though he does have a spin state crush counter, you know, it's fine because it's balanced by the fact that it only hits standing, and, you know, standing heavy punch doesn't really lead into anything. So, you know, you have characters with balanced crush counters.
Right.
It's just that we want, you know, like all characters to be on a similar level of power, not just have, you know, those crush counter buttons that are plus that, you know, they spin you and then you can get a combo from full screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the problem lies, I feel.
And then I guess one of the final solutions we had was making it so that the spin crush counters only activate on counter hit recovery attacks.
Yeah,
Or
yeah, you
moves.
could have it so that, you know, if you block a DP, you still have access to your spin state.
Right.
Crush counter, right? So
Or your
for
crush counter
maximum
becomes a spin
damage.
state. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that you have your, you know, your ideal punish for when you block a DP or, you know, you sniff out a parry and then you can punish it. But you know, for neutral instead, it's just a knockdown,
Right.
so that you don't like mindlessly mash on it during neutral.
Yeah, yeah. Any other solutions or anything you want to talk about, Mir?
Well, I mean, I think we had a pretty big list. So far, I would say let's think about those. Maybe we'll think of something else in the future.
Yeah, this is our first discussion video. We're just gonna get the ball rolling here. We'll be talking about a bunch of other system mechanic things, guys, and you know, give us some of your guys' solution in the comments below. What you guys think would be cool to add to Season 4 to spice up the game and then just make it, you know, the neutral stronger and better what we want it to be, right? Capcom started off with their philosophy of basically making the game so that every button has its own use and purpose, right? And crush counters hurt that philosophy, you know? So
Yeah, definitely.
let's close this up here. Thanks a lot for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys. We've got a bunch of these videos going all the way up to Season 4. Like the video because it really helps out. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Take care.
See ya.